So this is our panel, Areti already said, of our Circle Greek Career Women Go Global. We are here to share stories of learnings and growth with all our esteemed panelists. And let me take a few minutes to introduce each one of them to you all. We have here with us Lilian. I will go with as you're sitting. We will have with us Lilian Doyama, Head of Diversity, Inclusion and Belonging for International Education of Cambridge University Press and Assessment. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next to Lilian, we have Vana Kunali, who is Vice President in JP Morgan, Geneva. She traveled all the way from Geneva to Athens to be with us here today.
Thank you. My honor, my privilege. Thank you for having me.
Next to Vana, we have with us Eleni Abadzi, who is an executive responsible for global marketing and partnerships, B2B technology, and channel growth and strategy. Hi, Eleni, and happy birthday again. Next to her, we have Nectaria Metrakos. She is the co-leader of the Circle Women in Business and also a global human rights executive in a multinational company, one of the biggest in the world. Connected with us in live video, we have Lina Zaproudi-Elman. Hi, Lina. From Amazon Consumer Products. She is connected from California, San Francisco. I don't know if you hear the reaction of the audience. Hi. And let me complete your title, Amazon Consumer Goods, AI Data Operations and Program Leadership. Also, Circle Leader of Women in Careers. So thank you all for joining us today. And let me, without further ado, start this interesting discussion. We start with the topic of leading beyond borders and behaviors that matter. John Maxwell says, everyone is a leader because everyone influences someone. Leadership is not just about titles, it is about behaviors, mindsets that shape how we work and how we inspire others. So, in your experience, what are the key behaviors women in international careers need to demonstrate, develop, or do away with to lead effectively in different contexts, in different cultures, and that help them to overcome gender biases? Lilian, can you start?
Thank you so much for the invitation. It really is an honor to be here. Today's all about women empowerment. This morning, I ran the 5K for the Race for Cure. It's a philanthropic, for breast cancer. And today, I'm speaking here, so I feel that, that female power is all around us. So I would like to start by challenging that premise and say that basically leadership is all about access, visibility, and power. And women face systemic barriers before they can demonstrate leadership skills. Women are underrepresented in high power positions. A recent UN study, the UN Women Committee says that out of 200 countries in the world, only 29 have female heads of state or head of government. So at that rate, we will need 130 years to achieve gender equality in high power positions. The gender pay gap persists, even though things are moving at the right direction, albeit with a very slow pace. It currently is globally around 20%. So that means for each dollar, $1 that a man earns doing whatever job, a woman will earn for the exact same job only 80 cents. And that's the global number. So at the rate we're remediating this situation, we're going to need 123 years. So you see that the systemic barriers are there and they are a reality, especially for us women. That said, things are getting better. There are things that we're doing that as women we can be more open about the female experience, we can be advocates. My advice about strategic leadership would be to embrace change and embrace technological innovation. UN reports that women are 3 times more liable to being replaced by AI automation. And also that women, interestingly, don't engage as much with generative AI because they feel it is cheating. So my advice to us all would be to embrace technological innovation, to be at the forefront and be there shaping the future of AI rather than following suit.
Thank you, Lilian. Vanna.
Oh, my turn. Thank you. I definitely echo everything that Lilian just said. It's extremely important that we go with the times, we evolve continuously. But for me, leadership, and by the way, I should say that leadership in our time is in short supply with everything that's happening around us. So we need more leadership, we need more inspiration. So for me, as a woman in banking, I would say that what is really important is that it all comes down to niche and it comes down to character. Find your niche, find something that you excel at, find something that makes you stand out from your peers, and then apply heart and dedication to it. Be the person that provides solutions and not problems. And then you will most certainly stand out and become a leader in your own right, but also character. I mean, I have been servicing private clients for, almost a little over 20 years, which also says my age. In these 20 years, the last 11 years has been in the Middle East, servicing ultra high net worth individuals. Character is imperative. People see through you. If you're not your authentic self, people will always know if you're faking it. So make sure you apply everything your principles, your ethos, your values into your work, and that will make you stand out from others. And just to give you a tangible example of what I mean is, because obviously when you meet royals, when you meet sheikhs, etc., what can you bring to the table to make them feel loved and to make them feel appreciated? So what I always do to bring a little bit of myself in those meetings, these important meetings, I take a bottle of olive oil from Crete, because I come from Crete, and this is really something to show that I'm here. I'm there to service your needs, but at the same time, I'm an extension of your family office. I can be someone of trust. That in itself, I feel, is what builds relationships, long-term relationships of trust. And that's what constitutes being a leader, someone that others look up to. Others come to you to bring solutions to their problems. Others look up to you. So leading by example is imperative, in my humble opinion. Equally important, and I'm sorry, somebody mentioned before, the age and the notes, because you don't have the mind. I just need to look at my notes very, very, very quickly, is self-advocacy. You should never, ever feel guilty about claiming that seat at the table. So if you're a leader, then you need to go for it. In other words, just have that strategic confidence to sustain your beliefs and to not feel guilty. I think this is something Nectaria and I discussed during our meetings. Never feel guilty about what you stand for. do not feel guilty if you have this dynamic approach to things, because this really is what being a leader is all about. That's what it entails. So character and a niche. Just, you know, be your best self in everything you do. Apply your authentic self. Never hide away from the things that you believe in. Never feel guilty about, you know, wearing more than one hats. Some of us are mothers, you know, we are partners, we are daughters. So we need to sustain all of that pressure and just advocate for us, which is something that I feel as women we don't do well at all times. You know, sometimes we feel guilty that perhaps I'm giving too much of myself here, less of, you know, to my family perhaps, or less to myself. But what it comes down to really is not being apologetic. So others derive that kind of energy, that positive energy from you, and you become an example for everybody else around you. Over to you.
Thank you, Vanna. I saw a lot of heads nodding while you were talking. And Eleni, can we hear your views?
Thank you. Thank you, and for the warm welcome before. And actually, it's a great opportunity to be here. I mean, having a birthday and doing something special is always a good chance. So I'm thanking you for being here to share opinion and thoughts and get inspiration. We all need some inspiration. So practically, I was I'm about to share common things with Vanna and Liana that we discussed before. So talking about leadership in international environments, I would say that the first characteristic is probably, for me, what it was for me is to be strong, to take opportunities that probably you don't really feel 100% sure that they're for you. So there is not a gold recipe like, yes, this is for you and you have to do it. You need to go out of the comfort zone. Probably it's something that is common to hear, but in international environments, you need more courage than in the local space. So I would say that taking this as leading by example, going out of your comfort zone, pursuing opportunities that are not easy to do and perform, I would say that is something that power that comes from within. Second thing I would say is moving in international environments. At least from my experience, it was hard at the beginning because being a Greek person from a small country in the world, it was not easy to position myself. So I said, okay, I have to think outside the box. So probably find people that we share the same values, that values are global entities, are not like local. So that helped me, to create a network of people, either in the physical world or in social networks, with people that are of same values. So that is helpful to build trust and also make connections and have the collaboration, sustainable collaboration. Another important thing for me is that I understood that not at the beginning, but through my, let's say, professional trajectory, that career is not a sprint. It's not sprint. It's a marathon. We have a lot of years ahead to work, so we need to understand that each, let's say, stage of the life cycle is different. At the beginning of our career, we have no liabilities. Then life change, and you may have children, and you need to reflect on the time you have, the capabilities that you need to build. So I would say that it's something that it's an advice also for other people, not to be in a rush. And finally, I would say that the more we grow, the more we get, let's say, we're close to leadership or we have leadership positions, typically formally or, informally, like in some mentorship roles, perhaps. I would say that the more power we gain, the more humble and more human we should be, and be able to help more women and also minorities in, let's say, professional environments, because through this way, we will become able to alleviate bias and make some change, some real change. As Vanna said before also, that we don't really help other women. Not everybody can see this real connection and real intention to help. So I would say at least our intention should be like that. It's the result, of course, that counts, but also to be bold and raise our voice when we see discrimination, when we see injustice. So I would say that this is probably a value that we should cultivate throughout our career life. Thank you.
Very important point. Yeah.
I echo all of what you've said, and I was actually planning on addressing a few of the points, but I think it makes sense for me to focus on one other mindset that I think is really important and that can act as a barrier to women, and that's being able to overcome the societal pressures and the cultural pressures that we often face when we want to pursue our personal or professional aspirations. So, and I'm going to dive into this a little bit more, but it really is about finding our comfort level in the discomfort that we might feel with those societal pressures, whether as women leaders or as working mothers. And in order to be able to overcome that, it's really important to, one, gain awareness and to understand what those societal and cultural pressures are. My background is I'm a Greek American, born and raised in Chicago, so I had to deal with societal and cultural pressures from a Greek American community, and then coming to Greece, also from Greek society. And so different pressures, but they're there. Whether they're whispered to you or shouted at you, they're there. And they often impact our decision making, they impact the level of guilt that we feel, and our ability to really pursue our dreams and live our full potential. So this is why it's very important that we also seek leaders and mentors to be able to encourage us and support us. And I've been very fortunate in my career to be working for a company where I've had many leaders support me and really be genuinely interested in my growth. There's one example that has really stuck with me that I want to share with you today because it really has changed my life, and it was because of one woman in the company that I worked for who cared. It was early in my career where I was selected to participate in a women leadership program in Atlanta. At the time, I had a 2-year-old daughter, and at the time, I didn't have childcare in Greece. I really wanted to participate in this program. I went to our HR partner and I told her, I can't go. She turned around to me and she said, do you want to advance in your career? I said, obviously I want to advance in my career. Of course I do. If you want to advance in your career, you will find a way to be in Atlanta and to participate in this life-changing training. So she pushed me to be more creative in my problem solving with childcare. She pushed me to prioritize me and my professional development without feeling selfish or guilty. Guilty, the most useless emotion that we can have. So I thought, how can I make this work? So my problem was I didn't have childcare in Greece. Where I found childcare was with my mother, who was at the time working and living in Chicago. I asked her to take a week off of work, and I flew with my daughter across the Atlantic to Chicago. I dropped her off. I went to Atlanta. I did a week-long training. I returned to Chicago. I picked her up, and then we traveled back home to Athens. That, to me, was so worth it. It was worth it because the training that I was a part of changed me on a personal level and on a professional level. And it was a win-win for grandma, who got to enjoy her granddaughter for a week, and it was a win-win for my daughter because she got to see me on the plane ride going and coming. So if I didn't have that one woman leader who cared to nudge me and to shake me up and to tell me, do you want to advance in your career, I wouldn't have done it, and I just would have stayed in Greece, and I would have never been a part of that. And that to me is really important. Thank you. Is that also a clap that I'm done with my time as well? I'm looking at Carrie. I think so. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing this personal family experience. That's right. Now, Lena, we have you there waiting, and I know you're listening very carefully. Yeah. So, may I ask you to please share with us your views on this leading beyond borders question?
Thank you. First, just starting with a little correction because it's relevant to what I'm going to speak about. My role at Amazon is that Amazon consumer robotics, not consumer goods. So at the forefront of AI. And just going back to your question, Maria, I love all the answers so far that have covered a lot of the systemic and societal and personal angles. I'm going to stay with the personal mostly. So for me, the key differentiator in my career and the key behavior in having an international career has been fungibility, προσαρμοστικότητα, the ability to grow across industries, roles, and cultures while building on my strengths. So take my first role at Amazon, at IMDb, for example. On paper, I was overqualified, but the role sat at the intersection of technology and entertainment, so it intrigued me. It sounded interesting. And I took it because exactly it offered me the opportunity to do something new, a stretch, to the opportunity to grow. And actually, since then, the most pivotal moves, including a recent move I've made, have been horizontal ones. So roles that expanded my technical knowledge, my leadership skills, or my resilience across different contexts. And so the vertical promotions came later, but they were the byproduct, not the main goal. And this includes the recent role. When I came back to Alexa, to Amazon after 10 years, the role was an individual contributor role, whereas I had been a manager of large teams for many years. But the role, again, excited me. I knew it was an opportunity to learn, and I knew that I would land wherever I wanted to go or needed to go after that. So number one, fungibility. The second one is curiosity. I have always been curious about people, but equally about the work itself, about technology, new business models, startups. So reading widely and staying open to new trends has helped me stay, one, inspired, and also spot opportunities early. For example, that's how I discovered Pareto, a US startup that I joined as director of operations when I left Amazon after 10 years. And more recently, it's the same mindset that led me back to Amazon in consumer robotics, a space at the frontier of AI and innovation. And with a quick +1 here on Lillian's call out about women engaging with AI, please, if you are not doing it already, do it in a big way in your everyday life, but also in your work life. Then finally, I would say courage, the courage to take risks specifically, whether it's moving countries when we're talking about an international career, or joining a startup versus a big tech corporate role, or stepping into a new role with no clear roadmap, or negotiating hard for the compensation and conditions you deserve. This can even include choosing to include in your advocacy for equality and women in leadership in your resume, which is not, unfortunately, non-controversial at the moment, at least in the US. And for me, it's non-negotiable. I always include it, by the way. So overall, risk-taking is about knowing yourself, first and foremost, auditing how much risk you can take at any given moment, and aligning that with your family as needed. So just if I had to summarize, fungibility, curiosity, and courage, I think those three have been together my compass for growing and leading across borders.
Thank you, Lina. Thank you so much. And thank you also for correcting me, my mistake. So, yes, let's see how is the audience right now. Okay, I see faces listening with interest. Some others that they might need to stand up a little bit and, be with us. So we continue with the second question. What does an international career mean in today's working world? This is something that we discuss a lot between us. What does it mean? In your professional journey, what was or is the international dimension? We often hear, international career means packing your bags and moving abroad. Is that still true? Or has the definition shifted in today's world? How does the concept of international career evolve as geographical boundaries blur nowadays? What do you think, Lillian?
Yes. So for me, it was actually packing my bags and leaving. And I remember I left Athens. I grew up, I'm a native Athenian, and I left Athens when I was 29. So not really, I didn't leave for studies. And I packed one duffel bag and I moved all the way across to Canada, in Ontario, where I knew nobody. And I barely spoke any Greek for 4 years where I was there. So yes, it was a huge risk taking, as Lina was saying, but it's also about discovering yourself in the process. Fast forward after that, after I did my PhD on a scholarship in Canada, I moved around a little bit, ended up in the UK, which was lovely. I stayed there for 7 amazing years in Cambridge, working at Cambridge University Press and Assessment. And then I had the opportunity to relocate to our small office here in Athens. Of course, COVID hit, priorities changed. I had a baby, and that always, really changes and shakes up your worldview. So I decided to, another leap of faith after not having lived in Athens for 20 years. Not all living abroad. I also lived in Thessaloniki. So I came back to my home city, which looked very, very, very different. So that was a challenge as well, but for the better, I thought. So to come to your question, I think, life leads you in all sorts of different ways. You have to go with it. You have to go with the flow and not resist what is happening and make the most of it. Through that, you need to trust that this is a process that you need to go through to learn more about yourself, build your resilience, build how you advocate for yourself, learn about work ethic, learn about how different cultures approach work and approach leadership, and women, of course. And I think, these days now, things can be a little bit more mix and match. So now I'm a permanently remote worker from Athens with traveling that I have to do. I enjoy this. Hybrid working is something that a lot of companies now, a lot of businesses turn to, and especially for us women, that is a huge opportunity to be able to juggle the many roles that we usually have. As you know very well, women are more likely to have caring responsibilities or to be the primary carer, whether that's, elderly parents or kids. So I think, this flexibility that has been a blessing through what was, clearly a very difficult experience through COVID, I think that really has opened up the doors for more women to enter the workforce or to remain in the workforce and advance their careers.
Thank you. And Vanna, what do you think?
Well, Lillian said it all, I think. But it is true. I did also pack my bags when I was 17, and I've only been back to Greece for a little bit just to have my kids. but it was an exciting journey, and it is true. The world has really changed, especially after COVID. Now there's so many different things. There's hybrid roles that people can do remotely if they so choose to do. As somebody who doesn't really have that choice at the minute because of the Swiss secrecy, I have to be always within Switzerland to work. I would say that it's an exciting journey that people should never shy away from. I mean, I went straight into the UK. I worked in the City of London for about 14 years. I completed my studies there. I worked for various, international banks and a hedge fund, and then came to Greece for a short period of time to have my children. And because obviously my mindset changed in a way that I had never imagined, I chose to stay at home and run my own business whilst I was raising my kids, and that was a choice, and that's okay. If women want to perhaps take a moment, pause in their career, that's okay. And then, of course, I'm now, for the last 11 years, I work in Switzerland, in Geneva, in the private bank of JP Morgan. So what I would really say is we need to keep up with the global trends. We need to have a global mindset and to never shy away from things that would contribute towards our development, both professional and personal. And what's really important as well is to know our environment, the country that we choose to be our next home. Always respectful. You have to have that cultural intelligence to get to know the people, to get to know the customs, even the language. I mean, I see it myself, because I did live in Florence for a few years. That was fine. I speak Italian, but now that I'm in Geneva, and my French is limited, and my children always, never lose an opportunity to make fun of me. So get to know the language, get to know the people, get to know the customs. It's a constant evolution, and it's up to you to make it a pleasant one. It's up to you to who you want to be, how you want to evolve in your career, and the path you want to take. Ultimately, it's our decision. There should be no self-limitations. It's not about crossing continents. It's about crossing the limitation, as I call it, as in just, be fierce, be bold. Do not let anything stand in your way of being your true self. So, it's a discovery as well, no? I'll stop here, Kari. I had my 2.5 minutes, right?
That came from the heart. Thank you, Vanna.
We do everything
With heart.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is why I love you all. Eleni.
Thank you. What was the question? I'm just trying to remember. Okay. No. It's not of you. It's not. I mean, okay. It's about what we believe about international career, right? Yeah. Okay. Talking about myself. I mean, I started working abroad. I mean, as I graduated, I was called. I was blessed to have an opportunity to work in Italy, in Rome. So it was an easy transition, I would say, in terms of culture. It was a difficult transition in terms of being in an international team with many different people. Because, of course, it was Italy, the location, but people from around the world were in the same project. It was a technology project. So in the working life, it was hard to understand the skills that are needed to communicate effectively, to be yourself, and to be productive at the same time. It took some time for me to, let's say, adapt to this new reality. The hardest thing was to live in Italy and not speaking Italian. So I learned Italian through my work, because I had to participate also in meetings that only Italian people participated. No one was speaking in English at that time when big project was off. And also in the day life, it was hard. I loved Italy. I had great time there. So yeah, it was something that I felt comfortable with. After that, I had the very nice experience to live in Tokyo for 5 months. So this was another planet, I would say, completely different. It was many years ago. So that was really hard. Because as a person, I like having more connections, like only the job. I wanted to be with people there, and this was hard. After a while, to tell you the truth, I felt like I wanted to go back to Greece. I wanted to be somehow landed and get connected again. I made the transition. I worked remotely in a global team. It was something easier to do, but I was missing traveling a lot. So today I'm having still a remote work. I'm working with EMEA partners. I miss traveling. I would say that it could be something like important to have the physical, to have the feeling of working abroad in order to understand what a international career means. It shouldn't be a barrier. We should get more opportunities to exchange ideas and take responsibilities in some projects, international projects that we can participate and get the feeling of what it means to be in an international role. Yeah, I would say that in today's life, technology helps a lot us to be part of an international team. What it's important is to get some flavor of what it is outside Greece, even with traveling, with getting this experience, this international experience I believe we need because we are a small country.
I know we're tight for time, so I'll try to keep it brief. What I'm going to focus on is indeed picking up and packing your bags and relocating is definitely helpful to create an international career. You need to go into different countries. You need to understand different cultures. You need to understand different ways of working. You need to be able to gain those skills to be able to manage diverse teams and to create high-performing teams. If you don't go into another country and actually live in that country, business travel is great and you learn a lot through business travel, but it was only when I relocated with my entire family to Brussels that I really gained those important learnings on understanding different ways of working, understanding cultural differences, and being able to leverage those in a positive way. So definitely, if you have the opportunity and you can go to another country, definitely pursue it and prioritize it. I encourage anyone who can do it to do it in as many countries that they can. However, what I want to focus on in the little time that I have, I know Carrie's our timekeeper, is that post-COVID, we wouldn't be having the conversations that we're having today if it was before COVID about hybrid working, remote working. There are opportunities out there if you really want to seek experiences in international roles or in other markets. If you look, there are opportunities based out of Athens to be able to pursue these opportunities or to gain experiences. It might not be exactly what you're looking for. It might not be a new permanent role. Maybe it's a project. Maybe it's something short term for 2 or 3 months. Maybe it's a summer program that you can participate in. Whatever it is, seek it because it will open up other doors. It may open up another network of people that you can connect with. You may gain an experience or knowledge that can help you to pursue something else in the future. So I would definitely not limit ourselves to thinking that to pursue an international career, you need to pick up and leave. It is definitely helpful, but I think post-COVID, there are many opportunities that one can pursue, even virtually or remotely. Maria shared an amazing example when we were talking about preparing for this panel that I will share if you don't mind, which is, actually, I'll let you share it, Maria, very, very briefly, because I think it's a great example of someone really being creative with a solution about seeking a global career, but also being remote.
Thank you. That was least expected. Let me share the story we've been discussing with Nectaria and all. When I was working for 5 years in the Greek telecom organization, OTE, you all know OTE, in a huge transformation that OTE was going through, I had many interactions with headquarters, and I had created a brand name of being somehow someone who understands the international reality in this huge telecom group, Deutsche Telekom. So they came with a proposal. I had overgrown my role. They came with a proposal that included a huge project, a transformation office responsibility. But I had to consider relocating to Germany, collaborating with 13 countries and 20 teams. I didn't sleep at night. Back then, my children were 10 and 12 years of age. My older son is here. He can hear this. There he is. So I didn't sleep at night at all. And in the morning, I was ready to say, no, I cannot relocate. It is very difficult. It's very hard. My husband was working in another country. He had the responsibility for the Gulf countries, so he had to relocate 6 months earlier. It looked impossible. But then when I came into the meeting, I said, unfortunately, this is a time in my life that I cannot relocate. But I have a counter offer. Let me get the role and spend 30% of my time in Germany or abroad, and 70% of my time I will work hard remotely from Athens office, and I can tell you that my dedication and the results will be the ones you expect. You have selected the right person, because in the beginning they said, you don't want to, or we have not selected the right person. And I said, no, you have selected the right person. Let me do it this way. And they did. Now, we have little time. Or no time. Lina, sorry. You just reconnected. And we need to hear also your response to the question of international career and what it means.
I will help you with the time, Maria. Don't worry. I think we're all converging on an international mindset anyway, but just very quickly. So for me, the international dimension has been also both physical and virtual. I spent 6 years in the US, 7 in the UK, 7 in the US so far. And I have also worked for a remote-only US startup from both Athens and California. I have managed teams in India, the Philippines, and Costa Rica. So these moves gave me perspective on very different work cultures. But going back to the theme we had today, what is striking today is how much the definition of an international career has broadened. So an international career is no longer just about packing your bags. It's about building the skills and networks to operate across borders. And sometimes that happens without leaving home, as Maria was just saying. So virtual teams, global projects, remote-first companies means that somebody sitting in Greece today could be collaborating daily with colleagues in New York, in Qatar, in Singapore. And it often, by the way, starts from university. So kids working in robotics today, for example, would typically be collaborating with scientists and businesses across the world. And certainly the opportunities are global. So encourage that engagement early. Now, relocation still matters because it forces you to navigate the nuances of culture beyond a Zoom call. But increasingly, what counts is the mindset, being open to learning from others, communicating across differences, as many of you mentioned, and stretching beyond your comfort zone, also very important. So yes, international careers can still involve moving, but the real shift is that international is about how you work rather than just where you work.
And now we have one more question, but I would like to ask you to answer this in 1 minute each, one sentence if possible. If you were starting today from Greece, what steps would you take to build an international presence within the next 5 years? Looking back, what would you tell your younger self at the beginning of the journey?
I think these days it will have to be social media. It will have to be, developing a global digital footprint. You can definitely do that from Greece. Greece can be your launch pad. It's not a limitation. So start by doing that. And the other thing would be, don't let fear hold you back.
Very true. Completely echo that. Well, I would say in 2 sentences, which is very hard for me, what I would say is whatever you do it with heart and with dignity. Be inclusive. Invest in technology. Absolutely. Nowadays, this is very, very important. So don't stay behind. But also, stay true to yourself. We are very lucky because as Greeks, we have a culture that it's second to none. So use that as tool, as fuel to better yourself and improve yourself and evolve as a person in the workplace.
Okay, very quickly, I definitely agree with the statement of developing technology aptitude, understanding social media, how it works, create your digital footprint. On the other hand, I believe we need to maintain the human identity, of course. And as I said at the beginning, it's important to identify people that they have the same value system with us, probably people who are more developed in their career and seek mentorship opportunities. I believe that for young people, for young women, it's very important to find strong models and really release the stereotypes from their path. And I would say also to acknowledge that there are things that we accept we cannot change and things that we can change. This create this ability to understand things in which side they are. Of course, to have to broaden horizons, to alleviate this ceiling we have. Greek reality, unfortunately, creates these boundaries that we are a small country where we need to think a little bit ahead and believe that we can make the difference in an international environment. Although we are a small country, we have principles and values that can really make the difference.
What I would tell my younger self would be to not feel bad or guilty for my aspirations, but to feel proud and to seek them out. I talked before that women often are made to feel that they're seeking too much. Oh, you want more and more. Isn't this enough? I would tell my younger self to be unapologetically ambitious. Do not apologize for what you want to pursue in your life, no matter how different it is, no matter how crazy it may sound to someone else. If this is what's in your heart, and if it's a thought that's in your head every day, you need to listen to it because there's something there that you need to pursue for you. And if it's only for you, that's fine. Put it on a piece of paper, write down where you want to be, write down what your goal is, identify the actions or the what you need to get there, and start taking small steps every day to get closer to it. That's what I would tell my younger self.
And Lena, can we hear from you what you think?
Huge +1 on the unapologetically ambitious that Nectaria just mentioned. And I would say if I were starting today, I would do three things. One, think global from the start, keep an eye on industry trends and position myself beyond the local market. Two, build connections early. As we mentioned, LinkedIn, online communities, including this one, conferences make it easy to engage with people outside Greece. Leverage also exchange programs and the diaspora. The first time I participated in a student exchange program was a springboard and an eye-opener. And also the Greek diaspora is a very powerful network to tap into. I want to emphasize that. So looking back, I would tell myself also, don't wait for the perfect moment, start now. The small steps like sending that message, joining that program, saying yes to something new are things that can often open big doors.
Thank you all for your open sharing. I think your stories are stories of growth and learning. And if I may close this discussion today, a global career is not a straight line. We heard from all of you that it takes bold decisions, risk-taking, resilience, being unapologetically ambitious, overcome discomfort, and character, between other things, to keep moving forward. Thank you so much for your heartfelt sharing. Thank you all.